My name is Yewen. We've been attending Island ECC since we came to Hong Kong in 2011. In September of 2015, my mom suffered a severe stroke. They rushed immediately to the hospital and went straight to the emergency room. My dad didn't know what was going on. It was so sudden. And then she was sent immediately to the operating room. And then my dad had messaged us on our WhatsApp group, and I had immediately bought the next flight out. And I flew there and went straight to the hospital. And I remember that night I was waiting with my dad outside of the operating room, and we were just desperately praying to God. After a few hours, the doctor finally came out, and my mom had suffered from a ruptured aneurysm, which is a burst blood vessel in the brain. And so the bleeding was extremely serious, but he was finally able to control the bleeding, but her body's condition was still in a very critical state. It had happened so suddenly, such a shock, and it kind of felt unreal. She was still unconscious, and she was in a coma, and we didn't know when she would, or if she would be able to wake up. Over the next few months, we basically tried everything that we could do to try to wake her up. Every day we would pray for her. Every day we would talk to her. Every day we would play her favorite music, hoping that it would stimulate her. Nothing really seemed to work. Her body, physical body, was stabilizing, but she showed no signs of waking up. They had also said that there was nothing much that could be done. Given the severity of the initial condition, there was very little chance for meaningful recovery. It actually wasn't that surprising to me. I think at the time I had realized that only God could help. And I think He wanted us to realize also that we needed to give the result up to Him, to surrender it to Him. And this is really hard for me because to me, surrendering it to God meant that I had to be at peace with whatever God's will was. And that might mean that I had to be at peace with the fact that my mom might never wake up. So many more months passed by, but God remembered us and He provided a miracle. After 8 months, my mom had finally woken up. One day she turned her head a little bit and opened her left eye. With her left hand, she waved a little bit to my dad. And, it was only kind of a minor thing at the time, but it was really the start of when she started to wake up and start to be responsive. And we were so amazed and we were so thankful and so joyous in our family. But she slowly also regained use of her arms. She could, if you give her a bowl, she could eat by herself. She was even able to write again. When I look back and I kind of compare the progress that has been done from when we started to now, I can look at that and I say, wow, that's a miracle. But when we're going through the process over 1.5 years, you don't see that. It's so gradual, and it's very easy to get discouraged because when you're there, any change that occurs is just very minor and doesn't really help, or it doesn't really make you feel like it's a miracle. But when you take a step back and you look at it, you're like, wow, that's a miracle. From here to here, it's amazing. One thing that I've learned is that God has His own timing for things. He doesn't always answer our prayers in the way that we want, but He answers them in the way that's best for us. And through this experience over the last 1.5 years, I know that He has been with us, carrying us every step of the way. I know that I can trust Him. And our family now, I think that's what we need to do. We trust Him with our future, and we just take it one step at a time, one day at a time.